Hi, welcome to this spiritual conversation. I have a very good friend of mine, Chong Bakhti, with us today. And Chong, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself to the viewers. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Chong Bakhti. I am a healer and coach, and I've been practicing for 33 years now. There's a symbol in there, 33 years. And I know lots of people are really stressed about this COVID and suffering with fear. And my main desire today with you is somehow lift that fear, because fear is contracted and it freezes. And when people get freezed, then there's no energy flowing. And so it becomes more depressing and more fearful, and so it's not a good way, and everything becomes fall apart. So I want to help.
Thank you. Appreciate that so much.
Sure.
Um, so what do you say? There is a lot of fear from a lot of different things. There's been a lot of narratives that have been put out there. Obviously, the fear of getting sick yourself, maybe someone that you love. The financial fear because of people being without a job or things that have been shut down, um, fears of all kinds of things. So what are some practical ways that we can move out of fear, and what might we replace it with?
Well, I suggest that people to stop reading about or watching about the COVID and don't make it monster out of it. Civilization had survived with something similar. Actually, it's been happening every couple years. We have some sort of bird flus or related to the other things, and we will survive. What's the difference is that everything has been shut down, so that created tremendous fear. And we can also think as this is a building block for something else, because our society is so caught up in this money equals happiness
Hmm.
ideas. And so you take the money off, job out, then it just totally crumble into nothing. But we can think it as that we are phoenix, that we're going to survive through our own ashes of thoughts. It's just thoughts. It's nothing more. And we also have to remember we are not just body, we are not just mind. We are body, mind, and spirit beings. And so working with that base. And what I would suggest people to listen to uplifting informations. There are so many information. There's some lot of Buddhists are putting out information to change our body frequencies, and there are some evolved Christian peoples putting out that as well. And I say evolved.
Yes.
And or a lot of self-help teachers and speakers, they are speaking to help people to move forward. And so this is just the transition we have to go through, because we won't change until things gets crumbled down. So we can use this opportunity, look at it as an opportunity, and think about what I want to create in my life. Do I want to work 9 to 5 and go home and stuff ourselves with junk food and watch TV for next 4 hours and go to sleep and get up the same thing? Because not only we have a pandemic of this virus. We have been dealing with the pandemic depression.
Hmm.
So many people are on drugs because of that, uh, and not finding a purpose in their lives. Just going around and round and round like jailbirds
Hmm.
doing the thing in the wheel, and that bring us depression. It just means depression means depleted energy,
Hmm.
that they kind of bottomed out, and there's nothing put it internally, and they just put out, put out, put out, put out, and work like a oxes in the way back when. And the mindless game of this money making is creating a complete depletion of spiritual aspect of ourselves. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Excuse me. I like what you said about the Phoenix. I've been encouraging people. It's kind of like the world has gone on pause for a while, and it's an opportunity for us to. I've been using the term reinvent ourselves, but saying many of the same things, to invest in, evaluating our priorities and investing in ourselves, investing in, what do we want to create and what kind of person do we want to be when we come out of this? Because I think the world's going to be different when this is all over. I don't think, and I think everyone agrees, there's not going to be any going back to the old normal. It's going to be a new normal. And I think it's a real opportunity for us. So I think you're saying the same thing.
There is no such a thing as going back
Well,
anyway.
that's true. Can't ever go back.
uh, there will be something different. Go back. For instance, I get a little older than hour ago, so it's not same.
Yeah.
And trying to make a copy of it, then we get totally lost, and we go down the hole in that depression because we can't recapture. And whether it's glory or uh, fame or whatever, we just have to learn how to let go. And the best way to do it is breathe, because the way I see is breathe. Breaths are bridge you to our higher consciousness.
Hmm.
It's bridge you to me and the divine. So instead of keeping the divine and somewhere in the heaven so far away, so we need to start breathing consciously. So we bring the divine within us, because the fact is divine is always with us. We just kind of put it somewhere in the closet in our within ourselves and close the door. Don't I don't want you to spy on me because I'm not perfect. And
Right.
I don't want you to spy on me. I don't want you to look at what I'm doing because I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I'm a sinner, or I'm a whatever, whatever, whatever. Because um, divine, let's call it God. God is not here to judge us. God is to support us, because we are learning how to create. That's why we are here. Create and expand and evolve. And without making so-called mistakes, we can't evolve. Uh, a child put their hands in the candle, over the candle or something hot, and they have to sort of experience that it's hot. Then they won't put their fingers in there. And we are kind of like that. Of course, some of us making the same mistakes 5, 6 times, but
Right.
but there's no judgment, because the time is not linear. Time is not straight line. So it's very flexible. We just don't think it's flexible, because that belief creates linearness. And so there's a lot room to make mistakes and learn and go forward and to become a better person. And so we have this huge opportunity that we can use to jumpstart and reflect, okay, A, that didn't work, and B, that didn't work, and C, that gave me suffering, and D, well, that made me feel like SHIT. So I don't want to
Right.
go there. So instead of I don't want, I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. So we have to evaluate right now. We got time to evaluate. So where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? Do I want to be a happy person, or do I make $200,000 a year and slave to somebody else and no time for me or family or nothing? We all know that we don't take our financial wealth into the grave. What we can, but it won't do any good.
Right.
So we have to make being here count. But I want to go back to, this is kind of I want to make a little light of this COVID situation.
Okay.
So I came up with a COVID, right?
Hmm.
So C as co-creating or collaboration, uh, O as oneness, B as vibrational, I as inner, and the next one, dimensions or inner dog that work too, you know,
Hmm.
flip the dog and it becomes God, right?
Hmm.
So co-creating oneness, vibrational, inner dog or inner dimension. What do you think about that?
I think
So,
that's I think that's pretty awesome. I think that gives us something to focus on. I think
right,
what I'm hearing you say is, stop focusing on the negative and the world events and what's out there. Doesn't mean we're not aware of it. Doesn't mean we don't take precautions. Doesn't mean we don't follow the rules. But we're not focused on it. Instead, we can turn our focus inward
right.
and think about, what do we want to co-create? What do we want to use this time to manifest and attract and co-create, so that when this is all over, and I appreciate you saying that humanity's been through this many times and we've survived, and so I think we need to take the perspective that we're going to come out of this, we're going to survive this, and how does the phoenix want to rise from the ashes?
Well, like I said, we needed something like this for us to change because we got way too comfortable,
Hmm.
and we kind of became as whole citizens, earthly citizens. We became sort of money grabbing creatures,
Hmm.
and that brought that empty our heart, you know?
Yeah, yeah. If you don't mind, if you could say a little bit more, I wanted to get in the topic of judgment a little bit. In the Western culture, particularly, those that were especially influenced by Christianity, God is all about judgment. He's the sort of the old man in the sky who's keeping records. And if you're disappointing him, there are a lot of people, I know a lot of people, on my Facebook page and that watch these videos and still think that maybe somehow this is judgment from God, or if they get sick or their relative gets sick, God forbid, God's punishing them. And I think it's so much more wholesome and healthy to think about God's here to support us as we learn. Can you talk just a little bit more about
Yeah.
that?
Yes, I would love to. Um, just think about, imagine God keeping up with all those bad things you did. And God complains that you're not doing it enough, or you're not enough a person, or you're doing it wrong, and have to punish you. Think about how petty the God is. That's
Mm,
not a God. that's a false God. And the way I see God, the way I feel and the way I talk to God is there is well, that unending wells of love and compassion. And when I suffer, I feel God cries for me.
Mm.
And but God rejoices with me when I accomplish something and I feel good about it. And I fall down and I said, that's okay. And then I get up and I made a mistake and I said, okay, you're allowed to make a mistake, and I go forward. And then every time I do that, I just feel this huge energy that embracing me and
Mhm.
say, good job. And so, to me, God is encouraging, forgiving, all those things that we are lacking in this world. And so, basically, we are still stuck in masculine society, patriarchal society that has nothing to do with the man versus woman. We all have uh, the masculine side as well as feminine side. We all do, and it's almost like a twin inside us, you know. And so we are trying to move. We came down this counterclockwise in the bottom cycle, and we kind of ran out of energy. And because we are rapidly destroying this beautiful, incredible earth that is truly Eden,
Mm.
of heaven, right? And so before it completely destroyed, we need to push toward to the right side, that up swinging into the feminine cycle.
Mm.
But if you go back to not Old Testaments, Old Testament, that angry God and God who punished you and throw you out of the Eden and all that, that's somebody else's book. Maybe we needed to go through that in order to shape up. Maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, we are upswinging into the feminine cycle. And as long as we make money equals God, then we won't have enough energy to do that.
Mhm.
And so this is a gift, a universal gift, God's gift, not punishment, to use it as a fuel to go up into that feminine cycle.
Mhm.
So all those people who had suffered with this and lost people with this COVID, and also people who have died with COVID, I
Mhm.
am so grateful to them because they gave their lives so that we can create this truly Eden uh, of this earth. And so instead of Old Testament, let's go to New Testament about so many things what Jesus Christ uh, supposedly have done, right?
Yes, exactly. Could you
He
talk a little
didn't,
bit? Could you talk a little bit about how you understand the divine feminine energy? Like
okay,
how do we
let me do
recognize
this
that and
first.
work with that?
Let me do this first. So in the New Testament, especially when Jesus Christ is teaching, it's all feminine aspect of it. It says, love thyself, and forgive them, judge not. And he was into healing and he was into nurturing and he fed people, he healed people. All of that are feminine aspect of it. So it takes 2,000 or it's more like a 2,500 years later that we are finally wise enough to ready to embrace that teaching. So its feminine aspect of things is, like, I wrote a note so I don't forget. So matriarchy cycle is the feminine cycle. And once again, that has nothing to do with the women are better than men, not at all. It just takes more women to stand up into this because it's easier, because more men were trained more into be bread owner and hunter and all that, and we are still, that is embedded into our brains. It's a little harder for most people, you excluding.
Mm.
So in the feminine cycle, the masculine cycle is life is about me. Me. I want mine. The children of 1 to 4 does that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mine.
Right.
Me. Give me. I want. And you see the civilization, how we are still doing that. It's
Yes,
mine.
absolutely. I mean, absolutely.
Uh, yeah, you can go to hell as long as I got $1 million in my pocket. I want more. I want to make $1 million to $2 billion, and it's never satisfying. It became God in, you know, false God. And so, in the shifting of masculine to the feminine cycle, is instead of thinking life is about me, it's life is about us.
Mm.
Life is about the unity. Life is about oneness. Life is about all the creatures who lives in this earth. And life is about poor, rich, or strangers sick. And when we see someone who is mean and money hungry, instead of judging them, have a compassion for them,
Mm.
understanding that they're stuck there. And so, what can I do to help that person
Mm.
instead of me judging?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a, feminine aspect of the sacred demands that uh, believe in our inner wisdom, nurturing, accepting, tolerating, forgiving, collaborating, grace, letting go, allowing, and co-creating, gentle to ourselves and others, and compassionate, sharing, giving, honoring, kindness, and humility, empathy, and thoughtfulness, and appreciation, beauty, vulnerability, trust. See? That's just little part of this feminine cycle of things that we can embrace. And so life is about us rather than life is about me. That's basically a feminine cycle.
Yeah, so it would seem the masculine cycle has the tendency, sort of the shadow side maybe of the masculine energy is this tendency to be competitive. And whereas the feminine energy causes us to be more cooperative, instead of competitive, I win, you lose, you're talking about a more of a cooperative spirit that empowers us to all win together.
Right. Well, it's masculine cycle became that way because we had to learn.
Yeah.
And so we accumulate enough knowledge. I mean, I can pick up my phone and I can get any information I want
Mm-hmm.
from the phone. That's just knowledge. And we need to go beyond that knowledge. We need, we are suffering right now, and that brings us experience. And so, uh, bring the knowledge and this experiential things,
Mm-hmm.
and come up with the spiritual knowledge So that's what's about wisdom.
Right.
So wisdom to work together instead of being stuck in narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
That's a narcissistic generation right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, where do we want to go instead of narcissistic uh, um, stage? We have to go to collaborating stages. So working together, and especially we as American, who lives in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
we have too much, too much stuff, and yet we still have a hungry people who suffer with hunger in this country, and then of course many more countries that are totally suffering with uh, uh, hunger because of the narcissistic leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So working together, and that's what's all about. And it is possible, I believe, that we can push us into that, maybe not utopia, maybe not so much a utopic place, but somewhere that will have learned the wisdom instead of staying and be stuck in a takers. Uh, we learn how to do givers. You know.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful.
So, do you have other questions
Yeah,
that?
one thing I think, something that you really helped me with when we first met, especially coming out of, kind of some of the harshness of that Old Testament God and that God of the Bible. One of the things you really helped me with was learning that, one of life's most important lessons is learning to love ourselves and to not be looking outside of ourselves for that void to be filled that gets us in, all kinds of bad relationships. I mean, we can talk about being addicted to material things and the narcissism there, but there's also, we can end up getting entangled in these sort of toxic relationships with people because we're looking for love that really should be coming from us for ourselves. So can you just speak to that for a little bit?
Well, let me put it this way: the God, the divine divinity, created out of love. I believe that.
Yes.
So, how we came to be, and basically as a whole, globally, we are very good at hating ourselves. And so we want somebody to come to our lives and make it better. And we want them to love me and fill that holes in our heart. And it's kind of a time is up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We have until end of 2024. Oh, so we need to get our shits together. Excuse me.
That's fine. Yeah.
By 2000, end of 2000, 2030, 2020, yeah, 2023, end of 2023. And by then, we have to really get together to push this energy. And that means each of us are responsible to co-creating the earth that we want rather than what we don't want. The fear freezes, and fear just feed on the fear, and it becomes bigger, 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 bigger. It just take over the world. It has taken over the world right now, right?
Yeah.
And so it does not mean that we won't uh, obey certain laws and stuff like that. And it's easy to wear mask or, have scarf to wrap around your nose and mouth, and wear the gloves when you go to grocery store and gas store and gas station and
Yeah.
things like that. To just do the simple things that not only you don't contract, but you may have a strong constitution, but you may be carrier.
Right.
So we can't just say, I'm healthy, so I'm not gonna spread germ. If I grab the nodules for putting gas in the car, if someone who has the COVID, then I might not get sick, but I might end up giving it to somebody else. So it's a caution is always a good idea, but don't feed this fear by watching information of 10,000 information about COVID. It's not going to make it better. So what am I learning with this experience? What can I get out of this experience? How can I rise above this experience? I said, you can watch so many online master teachers. They're giving, they realize this is time for giving, so they're giving free talks and
Right.
meditation exercises, and then it's just so many people are participating, and it's all available. So don't waste time. Most people knows enough about COVID, and they can probably write a book about it. They got enough information, but it doesn't have to be that way. And this is pure, this is opportunity. When do we have opportunity to have an abundance of time? When do we have this abundance time to stay home?
Exactly. What
How long? Yeah.
one of the things I hear from people a lot is I don't have time to, meditate or give to spiritual, developing the spiritual side of my life. I don't have time to set goals, and by that I mean goals for personal transformation. So this is a great opportunity. You have the time now. So
Right.
instead of binging on Netflix, not that that's not okay too, but just saying maybe take some of that time that you're spending bored binging on Netflix and spend some time going within and developing that light and that the divine side of us.
Well, typically news media is more than 95% negative.
Mm-hmm.
And negative, watching that hour after hour, it's going to saturate it because we are energetic being. And so it will make us negative and depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get to that point, it's hard to swim upstream. But what I want people to know that this energy we have now is incredible opportunity. And if someone wants to have a physical, uh, the mental and spiritual transformation, this energy is here so rapid. They can just either meditate or read or listen to some whatever wisdoms. They can transform within a month easily.
Yeah.
Because this energy is, those people who are depressed, it's everything is a slow frequency.
Mm-hmm.
When they stop listening to all that stuff, then their vibration is going to be rise, and then it can move really rapidly and just change everything inside, and it is being offered to us from the divinity, from the God. So this is opportunity. A person like me who's been doing a spiritual work for decades,
Hmm.
And we kind of had to start. I kind of had to start from the bottom because I grew up in a very religious Catholicism in the family. And everything was about sin and punishment and fear. And they want you to fear the God. And they told us that we were not good enough, worthy enough to have a communication directly to God. And our, I will tell you in my personal story that that is not true.
Hmm.
God is basically, God is our friend. God is our best friend. And like a good best friends, they good best friend want you to encourage you, and if you make a mistake and are offended, they forgive you and they love you no matter what. Except in God is truly beyond what we can imagine, that we can't do no wrong for God to not like us. And God understand our suffering. God understand our desires. And God understand when we kind of fall into the bad habits and uh, some of the addictions or temptations. God understand that.
Hmm.
Even Jesus Christ stayed in the 40 days of meditation in the desert. He had to deal with the temptation that came to him, right?
Right.
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 So none of us are exception to that. Um, I grew up. I grew up in very, very dysfunctional, non-emotional, and my mother, I had very tumultuous relationship with my mother. She wasn't that way, but she had, uh, because I wasn't very docile child, and the way she thought was she can beat it out of me.
Mm.
So there was many times I got beat up very, very badly. And I remember she said, well, if she doesn't do that every few days, I'm going to turn into a red fox and jump over the
Wow.
fence. And uh, between that, based on the Catholic teaching back then, you know, I feel very unworthy.
Hmm.
And then I was about age 40. I used to write a lot about poems and stuff like that, just coming from my heart. And one day I started writing. Uh, that was my second Mac, you know, just tiny little computer, and what it came out was, "Father, why thou forsaken me?"
Mm.
You remember
Hmm.
that that is the word that Jesus Christ supposedly have said before he
Hmm.
died, right?
Hmm.
So I was in so much spiritual pain. So I started writing, Father, why thou forsaken me? And it turned into maybe 3, 4 pages of that. And by the time I got to the end, I realized it is not God. It is not the God who had forsaken me. It is me who have forsaken God, because I thought God was doing orders to me and I was victim of God.
Mm.
And so from that moment, I had to take a responsibility that no, God didn't do this. You know, God loves me no matter what. And so here at 70s, um, I'm in love with God. You know, it's I can't not love God because God loves me no matter what I do. And
Hmm.
sometimes I say or do things, I say, sorry, God. And, you know, I can hear that you're allowed. You're allowed to make mistakes. One day, uh, period of time that I was constantly talking to, having a conversation with God, and then something happened, and it just, you know, I couldn't. I didn't hear God and nothing. So I was backpacking in Wyoming, and I was backpacking with a group, but I was way back there. And then I said, okay, God, I haven't heard you lately. Uh, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? And am I not deserving, or what? Did I do something wrong? You know, that's how we human do, right?
Hmm.
Did I do something?
Absolutely. Yes.
Am I not worthy? And so God, where are you? And then I heard tiny little pika that's about size of this, usually black furry thing. Some people call it a bear because it's like a miniature bear with a, you know, no tail. And beep, beep. And then it was so close to me. I didn't see it, but the sound was so close to me. And it's like, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
You are in everything. And so it is my imagination that you are not with me.
Mm.
So that was such, probably you already know that, but I get into this forgetfulness, and sometimes I go back to my childhood, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
No, I do too, for sure.
yeah,
I
so
think that's a great place to stop. That's just absolutely beautiful. A couple things, just to emphasize that I'm taking away from that is, some people might feel forsaken by God right now because of the circumstances, and and I know we have a tendency to, in the West, in Christianity, to think about a God who has to forgive our weaknesses and our mistakes. And it's just such a beautiful picture and such a more empowering picture to understand that God is our friend, that God is here to support us, and that we are here to make mistakes because that's how we learn and that's how we grow. And instead of beating ourselves up because of things, we can maybe look at that and say, what did I learn from this? And really be able to free ourselves from that kind of shame and unworthiness and sort of inferiority can make life so much more rich and enjoyable, and your relationship with God and your love for God so much more wonderful and beautiful and amazing. So Chong, thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom with me and with our viewers. I'm really looking forward to getting this up and getting this out. I think this is really going to help a lot of people. So thank you so much for your service and your faithfulness and your time.
thank you. I want to say one more thing,
Sure.
that um, I don't know most of you, who might be watching this show. Nevertheless, you are my brother and you are my sister. And from deep down inside my heart, I love you. I love you. Uh, and that's just the way it is.
God bless you. Thank you so much. I know everyone enjoyed that. Maybe we can do this again another time. Chong, thank you. Thanks for your time.
For inviting me.
Yeah. God bless you.
God bless you.